Hello and welcome to a new edition of Bengal Magazine. My name is Jeff Ventura. We're going to start talking with the winter sports in this episode. First, we'll begin with men's hockey head coach Nick Carriere and sophomore goalie Mike DeLaverne. In our second segment, we'll talk women's hockey with head coach Candace Moxley and senior forward Kara Goodwin. And then we'll talk to first-year head coach of the swimming and diving programs, Nate Steger, and he's bringing along a sophomore freestyle and butterfly swimmer, Tom DePasquale. After a short break, we're going to talk men's hockey with Nick Carriere. Stay with us. In our first segment today, we're talking men's hockey with head coach Nick Carriere and sophomore goalie Mike DeLaverne. Guys, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
Every year presents new challenges and a new team. This year's an even greater challenge, probably with 10 freshmen on this year's roster, losing 10 seniors and one of our leading scorers as well last year. Talk about this team so far. We're 2 games in, and we'll get to those games in a minute, but just coming into the year with so many new faces.
It's been exciting. I think we had a situation probably 3 or 4 years ago where we had 17 freshmen. This is a class of 10 freshmen and a lot of new faces and a lot of guys that are going to have a lot of opportunity to jump right in and play. And I think that's what's happened this past weekend with Oswego and Cortland, where we had, I think Mike Zaleski got his first goal. Anthony Beaumont, a returning guy, got his first couple of goals. And Mike DeLaverne had his first couple of starts and his first collegiate wins. So a lot of firsts, but a lot of energy with the young guys. You know, sometimes with an older group of guys, they've heard me too much, and they think they kind of can hit the repeat button and do things, the way they want to do them. Sometimes with a lot of the younger guys, they go hard, and you tell them jump, and they say how high. So it's. We've had some fun off the ice. We've had some good team building events, and I think it all built nicely into a good home opening weekend, and hopefully we can take some of that momentum forward to this weekend.
A good start to the season. We'll talk a little bit more about that. You mentioned Mike, a sophomore goalie. Goalies have it a little different in that you don't necessarily play every game anyway, so you get used to kind of the different ebbs and flows of a season. But coming from juniors, I think you said off camera you played probably 40 games your last season of juniors. Yeah. And the last season, your freshman year, sitting behind an All-American goalie, played 27 minutes all season. Talk about that experience last year and how did that play out for you? Used to playing much more than that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough coming in. I knew, though, committing here that I'd be behind Kev. So he's a great kid, great goalie. But last year I learned a lot from him.
And then this year, a different scenario is coming in. You're kind of the go-to guy. You got your first 2 starts this past weekend. Talk about the nerves and the feelings heading into the weekend.
I was a little nervous, especially playing number 3 Oswego, but I guess as a goalie, that's what you thrive for. You want to be the guy that can step in and just take control of a game.
You were nervous?
A little bit.
Oh.
That first game against Oswego, like you said, number 3, I believe, made a run in the NCAAs last year and are expected to again this year. Jumped out to a 3-0 lead, and then penalty trouble kind of did us in, and they scored in the last minute to win 4-3. But out of the gates, not a bad result if you were told, hey, you lose 4-3 to the number 3 team in the country to start the season. Obviously, we don't take consolation in losses, but talk about that game and how it played out.
It's easy for our guys to get up to play against Oswego, and I think our guys played well. They executed the systems we wanted to execute. On special teams, we were able to cash in on a couple of those. I thought on the PK we were pretty good, but there's just a point where you take back-to-back 5-minute majors and you're down 5-on-3 to a team with some highly skilled guys, some Division I transfers that really have that ability to score goals and to execute some pretty special plays. We give respect to that, but the way the game is played. If you can play a pretty close to the vest game and keep things to the outside, play the way we want to play in the defensive zone, you can have success against a good team. Get a couple big saves by Deli over here and a couple of timely goals, or 3 timely goals by Nick Milligan. You're right there. So I think it gives us confidence, and I think if you ask any coach, you'd rather take a tough loss like that, 40 seconds left early in the season, and hopefully take your medicine and apply that moving forward.
the next night bouncing right back with another conference game. Men's hockey strange like that, the way you jump right into conference play. A big 3-2 overtime win, so kind of reversed the fortunes of the night before. Your first victory, I think it was 34 saves, and you can attest to that. I think we played a solid 40 minutes. Then the third period, maybe tried to sit down a little bit, and Mike really gave us the opportunity to win the game in overtime. Talk about the feelings getting your first win, and do you think about that during the game, or is it something you reflect on afterwards?
I mean, during a game you don't think about it. You just one puck at a time, one save at a time. So, but it's a great feeling to get my first win.
What are the strengths of this team? Seem to be a speedy group. What are you hoping to accomplish this year? And what are the strengths that you're looking to emerge out of this group?
Well, I think Delly's a big backbone for us, on the back end, and he's, like you mentioned, we had Kevin Carr for the past 4 years, and Kevin was kind of a quiet guy and went about his business, and Delly a little quiet, but I think maybe just when I'm around and when he's around the guys, I think there's a little bit of a rallying call when Delly's back there, and I think guys are getting used to him. We have 4 freshman defensemen, I think all of which are going to be part of our back end, and you complement that with our returning guys, and I think we were able to bolster our defensive core quite a bit with our recruiting class, and then up front, I think we're pretty solid. I think we have we have 4 lines of guys that we can go to execute different roles. So for us, it's just going to be the consistency. For us, it was hard last weekend to play 2 nights in a row. And I think it probably was for everybody because it was the first 2 games back to back. So I think moving forward, that will be something that we'll look to just apply that. Hey, we got to play the same way Friday and Saturday night, regardless of who the opponent is. If we do that, I think we'll be in a good situation.
Talk about your mental and physical state, playing back-to-back games after not playing a full game for an entire year. How do you feel Saturday night, and do you feel you're ready for the grind of the season now?
Yeah, I mean, once you get in a roll of things, once you start stopping pucks, that you just take with it and run. So that's what I'm here too. Good.
Talk about the young group. He mentioned the young defensemen, and how does that play into your game? Does it change the way you need to communicate on the ice, or does it matter who's in front of you, and you're gonna do your job and let them worry about
the
theirs?
Same thing with all the guys up and down. So I mean, they've been playing hockey for a while. I've been playing hockey for a while. I get the gist of it, but it's going good.
You mentioned another player who's not a freshman, but is a returner to our lineup, and Nick Milligan was our leading scorer 2 years ago and stepped away last season and made a triumphant return with a hat trick in the first game, a natural hat, in fact. Talk about what he brings back to the lineup.
Nick, I've known Nick. I've coached him for 4 years. I had him here for 2 years. I had him at the Empire State Games for 2 years. I'd seen Nick play a lot of hockey, and Nick's come a long way as a young man. I'm very proud to kind of see the way he handles himself. And sometimes with a guy that scores a lot of goals, they'll kind of take some time off on the other side of the puck from the defensive perspective. He was a guy that had the hit of the night for us both nights. He's a guy that's, he's not getting scored on much, and he's scoring for us. So it's when you see on the ice those things happen, great, and then off the ice, he may not be the guy wearing the letter on his jersey, but I think when he speaks, guys listen because of experience and because of some of the success he's been part of. So it's great to have him as part of the group. Obviously, he can shoot the puck like no other, and we just want to continue to help him shoot pucks and keep doing that, just keep giving it to him.
Fun team to watch, again, at the Ice Arena this Friday and Saturday, November 7th and 8th against Morrisville. Come out, tickets are just $5, and the kids are free. An exciting brand of hockey at the Buffalo State Sports Arena. Guys, thank you, and good luck with the next part of the season until we see you again. When we come back, we're going to talk women's ice hockey with head coach Candace Fox.
Hi, my name is Mitchell Thomas. I'm a junior, and I play football here at Buffalo State College. My favorite thing about being a Buff State athlete would have to be the family atmosphere. Since I've been here since my freshman year, it's nothing like it. The jokes in the locker room, the laughing. A pre-game superstition would definitely be before every game, you'll see me out on the field an hour before. Because before a game, you don't know who you play, you don't know who you're facing, you don't know what the man across from you is capable of doing. So you have so many emotions running through you. So my favorite thing to do besides playing football would definitely be watching my little brothers and sisters. I have 6 brothers and sisters, grew up with all of them in my house. I remember a time when I was out there running around like a little kid, helmet looking all big, wobbling. And so to see my little brothers do the same thing and nothing like that experience.
Welcome back to Bengal Magazine. Now we're talking women's ice hockey with second-year head coach Candace Moxley and senior forward Kara Goodwin. Ladies, welcome to the show. Also just opened your season last weekend at the Plymouth State tournament. A tie to open the season, and then a 2-1 loss where we really dominated play. I think shots were 43-20. We'll start with the weekend and just talk about how those games played out against Plymouth State on Friday and then against Nichols on Saturday.
Okay. Well, our first night against Plymouth, I think there was a lot of excited energy on the ice. Kind of showed up on the box scores. We were in the penalty box for quite some time. But again, still, it was finding our identity as a team. The pucks were bouncing on us a bit in the first period, but we settled in pretty well. Went up 3 goals on them, and then it was third period. We kind of lost a little bit of our footing there, where it's a younger team trying to figure out how to play with a lead and different sort of learning curves and things we need to work through throughout the rest of this season. But it was, I think, a good lesson for our girls in we have to get the wins now. So we can score goals, we can skate with anyone, but now we need to figure out how to get those W's.
I want to revisit the makeup of the team in a minute, but first, we've got a Division I transfer from Lindenwood University, came in 2012, really a breakout season last year as a junior, doubling your point total from your rookie season, 22 points, 16 goals, and set a school record for goals in league play. What happened last year? What you were a strong player coming in, obviously, but what changed in your game last season?
I think just starting to lose all those games, just kind of get frustrated and hungry to win and get all those goals.
And picked up right where you left off with a goal in each game this year. But the roster is very different this year. Last year you were hired very late. This is your first recruiting class. 10 freshmen, 2 transfers, so 12 new faces and a roster of 20. I think we finished with maybe 11 or 12 healthy bodies at the end of last season. What's the makeup of this team, especially as compared to last year?
Well, last year we had to play a very slow style of play just because we didn't have the numbers on the bench. So we were in trap mode for majority of the season. But this year we have players that can skate with the best of them. We have a freshman, Christine Harris, who's pretty quick, has a real nice snapshot. She gets in tight. She's very dangerous. And a few other freshmen that can push the pace of this game. So we're not holding back anymore. We're going to be a very aggressive team, in your face, and very tough to play against. So we're excited about that. Also, we have a pretty solid goaltending crew in the back end. So we have Justine Silva from the Lady Ducks out in California. She had her first debut against the Plymouth, and she played very well and made some pretty awesome saves. So again, getting her more ice time and confident in the net will be a pretty tough team this season.
Talk about your experience so far this season, and obviously a ton of ice time last year. Everybody had a ton of ice time last year. I would assume minutes will go down slightly this year, but that's probably a good thing, as you won't be stuck out there tired at the end of shifts as you were at times last year. Just talk about what's the difference this year that you've seen through 2 games and probably even more so in practice.
I think there's more support on the line, and when you get out there, you want to be out there, obviously, and you want the more ice time. Last year, there was no fight for ice time really, so when you get out there, you go full go.
Coach, we mentioned all these new faces and really from all corners of North America and beyond, as one player comes all the way from Finland. Talk about how you feel the recruiting class has come together and mixed with a pretty solid group of returning players, those that we were able to bring back. How's the team coming together off the ice?
Off the ice, from what I can tell, it's the girls get along very well. It was a big effort with our coaching staff, with Lucy and myself, to bring in players that will fit our coaching style and the players that we have in the locker room. We didn't want to bring in anybody that was going to hold anyone back. So it was part of our recruiting process when we went through it that we wanted players that were team players, that were determined, that were hockey players, that were going to give everything they had to this program moving forward. And we think we have those players in our lineup and on our roster this year. So I think it's a great group of girls that we have. Coming back, we have Jenna Minnick and Kara and Nikki Kirchberger as well to kind of lead the way moving forward. So they have a season under their belt with me as their head coach. So they know how I operate, how I run things. So I'm leaning on them quite a bit this year to help mold that new freshmen, the transfers that are in our locker room right now, and get everybody on the right path moving forward.
You mentioned Jenna and Nikki as assistant captains and senior forward, leading scorer, but also the captain of the team. Talk about what that means to you, A, as an honor, and B, as a responsibility. What do you feel your responsibilities are with that letter on your sweater?
Well, I grew up dreaming of playing college hockey, and to have the role of being team captain, there's no words to describe it.
Ladies, it starts this weekend at Potsdam with league play. Best of luck. We're going to kick things over to Gabby for a Bengal update, and when we return, we're going to talk swimming and diving with head coach Nate Steger.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Bengal Update. I'm Gabrielle Mediak, here with a recap of news and a look at the upcoming events surrounding Buffalo State athletics. Women's soccer advanced to the conference semifinals, defeating Fredonia on penalty kicks in a scoreless draw through 110 minutes of play. Senior Liz Malinowski sealed that victory for the Bengals. This is the team's third trip to the conference semifinals in the past 5 years. Volleyball defeated both Houghton and Utica College, making the Bengals 23-10 overall. They were led by Sam Parente with 11 kills and 4 blocks. Hannah Ronaldo and Jessica Crooks each had 10 kills as well. The Bengals take their 3-match winning streak into the conference playoffs on November 7th when they take on Cortland. Men's hockey is coming off of a weekend split, with a win over SUNYAC rival Cortland and a loss to nationally ranked Oswego. Goaltender Mike De Laverne stopped 34 shots to earn his first college win in the Bengals' 3-2 victory over Cortland. Sophomore Anthony Valmont had 2 goals, including the game-time winner in overtime. Jason Zaleski added the other Buff State goal. A day earlier, the Bengals built a 3-0 lead midway through the second period, before penalties caught up to the team, ending in a 4-3 loss to Oswego. Nick Melligan had the hat trick for the Bengals. Women's hockey tied Plymouth State 3-3 in their weekend tournament. The Bengals used goals by Christine Harris, Kara Goodwin, and Missy Milan to open a 3-0 lead before settling for the tie. The Bengals followed that with a 2-1 loss to Nichols, where Goodwin also scored the lone goal. However, the Bengals did outshoot Nichols 43-20. Women's ice hockey is home on November 7th and 8th to take on Newman. Basketball's home season gets started on November 14th. Women's basketball takes on Teal at 2 p.m. in the first round of the annual Betty Abgott tournament. At 7, the men take on Medaille. The action continues November 15th for the consolation and championship games at the Abgott tournament at noon and 2. Reporting for Buffalo State Athletics, I'm Gabrielle Mediak. We'll be right back after this short timeout.
I want to point out our Tim Hortons Buffalo State Athlete of the Week for this week. Women's soccer player Nicole Torres, the freshman goalkeeper, earned the honor for the second consecutive week. She backstopped the Bengals to a victory in the SUNYAC quarterfinals. She finished with a career-best 10 saves for her second shutout of the season. Nicole Torres is your Tim Hortons Buffalo State Athlete of the Week. In our final segment today, we talk swimming and diving with first-year head coach Nate Steger and sophomore Tom DePasquale. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Unlike the other two, you've been practicing, but haven't gotten into that league play yet because you don't really have that league play. It's a very different structure to your season. First meet this past weekend at MCC. Want to properly introduce our new head coach, Nate Steger, former Division I swimmer at UNC Wilmington, and then came home, transferred to Buffalo State in 2010. Swam your final 2 seasons here. Still holds 3 school records in the 200 fly and 200 and 400 IM. And then spent 3 years as an assistant coach. So you're no stranger to our program, but a new role as the head coach. Talk about what that transition's been like, and obviously made that transition very late in the year preparing for this season.
Well, I'm very privileged to have the new role, but the team right now has not been anywhere it needs to be, and my goal here really is to just take that team to the top. Brought in a nice freshman class of guys. Girls, we're not where we need to be yet, but we have a nice class to build off of. And my philosophy here is I really want to make sure that every one of our swimmers are coming in doing 100% for me as a coach in practice. That doesn't necessarily mean 100% all out as fast as you can go. It means give me your 100% on whatever we're doing to your best ability.
We had a conversation yesterday after the first meet. I don't know if Coach laid into you guys at all, but his first response was, "I'm not happy with this at all," and then started looking at times, and some of the returning kids are swimming faster than they were at this point last year. It's nice to see the high expectations. Developmentally, what is your strategy for these swimmers, and where do you feel you are at this point very early in the season?
As of right now, I definitely think my expectations, like you said, are much higher than the average. I think developmentally we're doing well compared to last season. Like you said, I took a look at where we were last season. We're definitely better than what we were, but it's still not a W on the board. Developmentally, to get those W's, I think we really have to become stronger as a team and really get our athletes swimming to their potential in order to get those W's.
Joined by a strong returning swimmer who was a freshman last year, scored in two individual events at SUNYX, the 1650 and the 200 fly, two of the more grueling events. Talk about your experience in your freshman year and then being able to score at SUNYX.
Well, my freshman year, of course, we swam off campus, and that was a different experience. I felt like we were just almost separated from the school. Now we're at home, we're feeling like we're one with the school. And when I finally got to championships, my taper, which is what we do before championships, it really kicked in, and I just dropped so much time. I did amazing. As a freshman, scoring, that's amazing on my part. And all the guys who did score, we did very well in championships. The mile and the 200 fly, of course I do those. They're not my favorite, but it's what my body can do. That's what I can score in.
You mentioned, you referenced swimming off campus for the last couple of years with a major renovation to Houston Gym that our viewers are familiar with. But a nice piece of that was a real facelift for Kissinger Pool. Being back in that facility and having access to train, not when we can get a pool, but setting up your schedule as it suits our swimmers and our coaching staff. Talk about what it's like to, like you said, be home.
It just makes life so much more convenient. Life is easy now, and I get to go in the pool whenever I need to. Whenever I want that training, I'm in there. I'm working my hardest. Same with all the other swimmers. We're all in there all the time. Our training is much more regimented, easy to do, I'd like to say, and we're not up at 6 o'clock in the morning going to some Buffalo school somewhere. We're here, home, where everyone can see us through that window. I mean, I see people watching our practice all the time.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you back, and we're thrilled to have. I think the sacrifice was worth it, as the facility is now something that we can be proud of. Nate, as a coach, you were part of the practice planning the last couple of years as well, with very limited time in the pool. How has this opportunity changed the way that you can plan your practice and training?
Well, it definitely makes it a lot easier, just as Tom said, more convenient to have the pool whenever we want. We're allowed to offer 2 practices a day for our swimmers around their schedule, which is convenient for them. And it allows us to get after our practices more and really put the pedal to the metal and go after it. So the convenience factor is definitely a big thing. And obviously having a home pool to swim a meet in, it's definitely more exciting than not having that. So,
talk about some of the key athletes that we want to watch as this season unfolds.
Well, Tom, to my left here, is definitely a key athlete you want to look at this year. Shocked us a ton last year as a freshman. Didn't know he had that endurance ability in him for that mile. It was his best opportunity to score, and he did well in that. Came in as just a minute point 100 flyer. Ended up going 57 for us last year in season, and then when he got to our championship meet, he was going 55, 56. So we expect him to hit his championship times this year. In season, and then really pop even and go even faster at our championship meet. So some other athletes we can look at, we brought in Connor Mergler, a great sprinter out of the area here as well. Definitely keep your eye on him. We hope he makes top 5 in his races at our championship meet. Allison Kolzinski, who's a junior right now, is swimming very, very good. She's coming at practices every day, and I really think those are just a handful of your athletes that you can really keep an eye on.
It'll be exciting to watch again this weekend. Kissinger Pool November 8th against Pitt Bradford. Guys, good luck as the season progresses, and we'll talk to you before championship season. That'll do it for this edition of Bengal Magazine. We'll be back again in 2 more weeks. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again.